nothing alike. We's different. You ain't the hustling type. We's different. With King.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube world, CJ Rose is back in the building. Welcome back to the channel. It is over. It is over. After the most craziest NBA season in NBA history, we have our 2019-2020 NBA champions, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. They beat the Heat in 6. The Lakers went into Game 6 saying, we got to end this now. And that's exactly what they did. They put their foot on the Heat's neck, and from that point on, there was no coming back. The Lakers had it. They ended it. Now, usually after a series, I would go through statistics and tell you what each team did, but I'm going to take a different approach because this is important. As I'm watching the Lakers championship celebration, and I'm just watching LeBron and AD and Jeannie Buss and Frank Vogel, everybody talk, it's crazy how we got here when you really think about it. Because as this year started, so much happened. Like, we're talking David Stern passed away the first day of the year, January 1st, 2020. He passed away. Heading into 19 days later, Kobe Bryant tragically dies in a plane crash with his daughter as well. And that drained us all, me included, for more than a month. Like, usually a passing would drain you for maybe a month or two. To this day, it's still draining because it's just something that I can't really believe. And it's still crazy to me because there's so much of what he did. You know, I grew up watching him. To now, it's like, wow. Then, you know, to this whole global pandemic that happened 2 months after in March, to where basketball and everything was shut down. So we didn't have basketball for 3 months, and we didn't know what was going to happen and how everything was going to be affected once basketball came back. Luckily, it did come back in July, to where instead of every team getting a chance to play, only 22 out of 30 teams were able to play. So they only played 8 games before the playoffs to get playoff seedings. Portland and Memphis played in 1 game just to get the 8th spot to face the number 1 seed, which was the Lakers. Not a lot of surprises in the first round. Couple sweeps. But if I'm going to talk about one specific team, I'm going to talk about the Lakers. Because from day one, the Lakers were slated to be the one team to get to the finals. And from that point on, they stayed the course. It's been up and down. Because every single time there's a loss, the first thing you hear is, the Lakers aren't this, the Lakers aren't that, the Clippers are better, the Bucks are better, all these types of things. And that's not fair. Off 1 game, you just think they're not great after that? But what happened? Before the pandemic, what happened? 2 games. The Clippers beat them. The Bucks beat them. The Lakers were on a damn roll before his pandemic happened. And then, of course, when the pandemic came, when the bubble started, those 8 games, they were shaky. They were only 2 of 6. 2 of 6 or 3 of 5. One of the two. But they were not great during those 8 games because they knew heading into the playoffs they were going to be ready. And that's exactly what they were. So they faced Portland in the first round. What happened? Portland wins 1 game decisively. They won it decisively. And then from there, automatically everybody thought, Portland was going to be the team to beat the Lakers. This, that, and the third. Off 1 game. Off 1 game. Mind you. Off 1 loss. You automatically think they're gonna lose? Okay. So what happened? The The Lakers served them for the next 4-1 next round. Get Portland out of here. Portland did their thing, but come on. Not against Houston. They lose game 1 again. So it's the second game 1 they lost in a row. Now I don't automatically think, oh, the Rockets have a chance. This small ball actually might be detrimental to the Lakers. I'm like, all right. Okay, fine. What happens? Oh, the Lakers handle them in the next 4 games. 4-1, Rockets out. Now they face a team that they weren't even thinking of facing because they wanted the Clippers. And I wanted the Clippers myself because I wanted the talk to end. I wanted to see who was the better team in LA. What happens? Clippers fold in game 7. Boom. Now it's the Nuggets. A team that just went through 2 game 7s and came back from 2-3-1 deficits just to get to the Western Conference Finals. This was going to be a tough team. Were they? Not in the first 2 games. LA handled them perfectly fine. Game 3? Did they lose game 3 or game 4? They lost game 3. Okay, fine. 2-1. What happened in the next 2? Boom. LA wins. Boom. They head to the finals. To take on a team that I was not expecting to get to the finals. I didn't pick them to go to the finals. But they did what they had to do. And that was the Miami Heat. Who swept the Pacers, which I didn't think would happen. I thought the Pacers would at least take a game or 2. That didn't happen. They didn't sweep the Bucks. They beat the Bucks 4-1 because apparently Giannis just didn't know what the hell to do and how to stop the Heat. Okay. Then they beat the Celtics 4-2. So that's interesting. Did they beat them? Yeah, they did beat them 4-2. Sorry, I was thinking Toronto, Boston. But they did beat them 4-2. Boom. They lost 3 games heading into the finals. The Heat looked amazing. And was I a little bit worried in these finals? Kinda. But I never underestimate the opponent. I can't. Because any given day, somebody can beat you on any given day. I predicted the Lakers in 6. And that's exactly what happened. The Lakers beat the Heat in 6. And now the Lakers are the NBA champions. And as Jeannie Buss, as Adam Silver, LeBron, and AD were talking, I just really sat here and thought about what exactly was going on and what happened. So much happened just to get us to this point. We're talking the Kobe passing away. Then we're talking the global pandemic. And then we were talking about the protests. So many things affected this season to where I didn't think we were even going to see basketball anymore for the rest of the year. And it tells me that whoever won this title, it was never going to be easy to begin with. Because of what's happened. Like, people lost a lot of, everybody got drained once they heard Kobe passed away. That's how much influence Kobe had in the organization. Not in the Lakers organization, but the association as a whole. Just so draining. Like, God, it sucks. Then you had the global pandemic that stopped basketball, so you really couldn't practice. You really couldn't train. Only thing you could really do is probably just, well, since these NBA players were so rich, they had gyms in their houses and of course their backyards, so they probably didn't stop doing what they did. They probably just kept going. Then they had to deal with the whole protest before the bubble even came through. You know, with everything with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And then heading into the finals, the playoffs with Jacob Blake. Just everything was just so draining. I can't begin to tell you how the Lakers are feeling. Because they're probably drained of what's going on, what's happened this year. So much has happened to affect them, not only as basketball players, but as black men too. it's crazy. Now, I'm not saying everybody was a black man on that team. Of course, not everybody was a black man, but you get my point. Most of that team is predominant black, so you can only imagine what they're feeling as a person of color. It's crazy. But where there's bad, there's good. Here's the good thing about this. First off, shout out to Miami Heat. Listen. I said it. I'm gonna say it again. I did not expect them to make it to the finals. They made it to the finals. They surprised the hell out of me. Jimmy Butler did his damn thing, man. Shout out to Jimmy Butler. He didn't look great in Game 6, but when I tell you Game 3 and Game 5, he looked great. I didn't listen. Jimmy was great. Shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to Bam. Shout out to Duncan Robinson. Shout out to that sniper. Shout out to Tyler Hero. He got a future ahead of him. Shout out to Dragic. Shout out to Iggy. Shout out to Jay Crowder. Shout out to Eric Spoelstra, man. Shout out to Pat Riley, man. Shout out to that whole Heat organization. Shout out Udonis Haslem. UD. Shout out to him. Shout out to that whole organization, man. They definitely did their thing. But the Lakers stayed the course. They were the favorites to get to the finals, and they were the favorites to win, and they accomplished both. So shout out to them. Anthony Davis, his first NBA title. His first finals and his first NBA title. It's a beautiful thing. Dwight Howard. In 2009, 11 years ago, he went to his very first NBA finals with the Orlando Magic. Who beat them? The Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe Bryant. 11 years later, he's on the team that beat him, and now he's celebrating his very first ring. JaVale McGee with his third title. Rajon Rondo with his second title. The first player ever to win a title with the Celtics and the Lakers. That's a beautiful accomplishment, man. Rondo, you doing big things out here, man. J.R. Smith with his second title. Pretty much not doing much. No disrespect to J.R. Smith, but you ain't really do much to get it, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. KCP, his first title. And now, Danny Green and LeBron James now enter historic or had a place in history. As they are now, along with Robert Horry and John Sally, they are now two of the 4 players ever to win a ring with 3 or more different teams. Of course, Danny Green did it with San Antonio, Toronto, and now LA. And of course, LeBron did it with Miami, Cleveland, and now LA. But now LeBron James is the first player ever to win a Finals MVP with 3 different organizations. And now this is ring number 4. I just hate how LeBron gets scrutinized every day. It's annoying. It sucks. Because he's done so much and does so much that it's like, why does he get criticized so much? Why? Because he doesn't always take the last shot? Why? Because he doesn't make every free throw? Because he doesn't have that killer instinct when it comes to the full court? That's not fair. That's not fair. Look what he's doing and look what he's done. The man about to be 36 years old. He just won his 4th NBA title. He's in his 17th year, about to be 18th year now. Looks like he hasn't left his prime yet. And he still can't get the respect. Why? Why? What do you do? What do you do wrong? Huh? I just want to know. Why? What's wrong? Like, help me out. Because I'm confused. I don't get it. He's not Kobe. He's not MJ. He never proclaimed to be either one of them. Granted, he said He said, sheesh, he said that. He said that, I think, 2016, 2017. He was trying to chase MJ's ghost, his shadow, something like that. Fine. But if anybody can remember, LeBron said a long time ago, he patented his game off Oscar Robertson. Because if you remember, LeBron was, before Luka, before Westbrook, LeBron was the guy who was the walking triple-double. And nobody remembers that. Nobody remembers that. And that's crazy. Before LeBron was where he is, that man was patenting his stats. And that's a fact. He cared about winning, but he didn't care about the title like he does now. Because back then it didn't really affect him as much. But heading into, but as he got older, yeah, that's when the questions started being asked and all that. But still, it's like, what more can he do? LeBron literally will retire being the top 10 in points, assists, points, rebounds, assists, steals, 3-pointers, man, like all these stats, he will be top 10 in once he retires. Name another person who's done that. Not many. But because of his finals record, because he can't really shoot that well, he's not a regular shooter, because he can't perform well at times in the fourth quarter, because he never takes the last shot all the time, and because of his finals record, he's considered not great. Like, when does it end? When does it end? Are we ever going to give this man his respect? MJ lost. Kobe lost. The greatest have lost. Granted, they're probably not as bad as LeBron has it, but we all have our failures. Why you have to keep burying LeBron with his? I'm tired of it, man. What more do he got to do? If he wins 6 rings, will that be enough? I just want to know, if he wins 6 rings, will that be enough? If he repeats next season, will that be enough? Will it be something? I just wish they stop comparing LeBron and Jordan. ESPN created that, and ever since then, people have been running with it. And I hate that. Like, let LeBron and MJ be 2 different generations, 2 different players, 2 different skill sets. Leave them alone. Stop comparing them both. But no, it's just the story that you want to talk about. It's just newsworthy. It shouldn't have to be. Just let it be. LeBron is great. Please. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. My fault, y'all. I'm just annoyed, man. This is my favorite player, and I'm just tired of it. But it is what it is, man. Los Angeles Lakers are the 2019-2020 NBA champions. I couldn't be more happy. And it's always a beautiful feeling when one of your favorites actually get it done. But it's been Rose, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the love and support as always. If you stayed through all this, I appreciate it. Let's try to repeat next year. That's all I can say. Until next time, peace, love, one. You're